You're listening to Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
We now wander off the beaten path with an update from the Reefer Reporter.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Reefer Reporters. I'm Cindy Howell, and I'm here with my joint host, Al Graham. It is March 10th, Al. Oh my goodness, March 10th, 2022. And together, Al and I are going to bring you the global Reefer reports for this morning. Yes, good morning, Al.
Good day, Cindy, and how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you so much. How are you?
I'm doing fine. As you said, it's the middle of March almost.
Yeah, March 10th. That's insane.
It is, and spring's just around the corner. I think don't the clocks go ahead this week?
They do on Saturday night, Sunday morning. They go ahead. We lose an hour, and we'll end up with more sunshine during the day, which will be fantastic. Here in Nova Scotia, we are getting plus temperatures pretty much every day. Actually, on Monday, it is set to go to plus 10.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
We got some plus temperatures in the forecasts here as well. But, the night times are still going to be cool, though.
Yeah, at night times you'll still need your coat. But, man, it's so beautiful to have that. When I'm done here today, I'm going to go take the dog for a walk. And we've got sunshine and plus 5 right now. So I'm pretty excited. And then I'm going to hit the pen shop. Yeah,
good,
for sure.
Good.
For sure.
And it'll be nice and warm with the sun beating on you.
Absolutely. Al and I have 10 stories coming at you, 5 before and 5 after the break. So we might as well get at it, right?
Yeah, we might as well.
For sure. We are heading over to MJ Biz Daily to start off with. Cannabis producer Canopy Growth dropped from S&P.
That's right. Smith Falls, Ontario-based cannabis producer Canopy Growth Corporation is being deleted from the S&P TSX 600 index.
Whew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. S&P Dow Jones indices, a division of S&P Global, said in its announcement that it was making the change as part of the quarterly review. The index includes some of the biggest companies in Canada, including the likes of Royal Bank, e-commerce, Shopify, and Canadian National Railways.
Yeah, any company in the index needs to maintain a minimum capitalization weight of at least 0.04% of the index. Canopy stock has fallen almost 90% since it was added to the index in April of 2019. 90%?
Wow, that's huge.
It's huge.
Huge. Taking Canopy's place on the S&P TSX 600 index or 60 index will be Intact Financial Corp, which is a Canadian property and insurance company. The changes take effect before the opening of trading on Monday, March 24th, according to S&P Dow Jones. And when Canopy was added to the index, it called the move a major accomplishment for the cannabis producer, for any cannabis producer, absolutely. But the stock has fallen 90%.
90%
in 2.5, almost 3 years. Wow.
That's right. The one-time CEO, Bruce Linton, who used to be with the company, he said first traded on the TSX Venture Exchange on April the 4th, 2013. I cannot think of a better way to celebrate our 5th year anniversary as a publicly traded company than being added to the TSX large cap index. And now they're about to be kicked off.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel bad. Canopy shares, they do trade as weed on the TSE. I think that's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's too bad for Canopy Growth. 90%, that's a huge loss compared to, in less than, just under 3 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Yeah. That's a lot of money. A lot of money.
It's a ton of money, yeah. Heading over to Mugglehead Magazine. Alberta pot shops can now offer delivery and online sales.
That's right. Alberta's private cannabis stores will start offering home delivery and online sales as the provincial regulator steps back from the services, but only a few companies are ready to go on the first day.
Yeah, on Tuesday, the provincial regulator took down Alberta Cannabis, the online government-run cannabis store, which has been the only online retail and delivery service authorized for cannabis in the province.
Yeah,
When
when
the
the decision
Yep.
was made by the Alberta Gaming, Liquor, and Cannabis Association, they announced late last year that private stores welcomed less provincial competition in the cannabis market.
Yeah, I don't doubt. Speaking ahead of the launch, Dave Barry, VP of the AGLC's regulatory services, said 5 companies representing 74 locations in the province had been endorsed by the regulator and were approved for the initial rollout. Another 14 with 18 locations are under review.
So most, it looks like a large majority are on the way. So now for Peak Cannabis in Calgary, as an independent store and one of the first ready to roll with delivery and online sales, owner Will Forsyth says he's excited and hopeful to draw in new customers. He says delivery is one of the last logistical things that the gray market had over the recreational market.
Yes. Yeah, of course. I mean, your gray market dealer, as we used to call them, would definitely hop in their vehicle and come see you. It's part of what they did. While preparing for online sales and delivery, Forsyth says there were a few surprises along the way, including a rigorous age gate requirement to access online cannabis menus.
I wonder if it's any stronger than the one that's out there on just cannabis sites, because the ones that are out there just on regular cannabis sites isn't very good.
No. I mean, and even when you when I look up the Nova Scotia Liquor Commission here, and not just for cannabis, but for alcohol, again, it's just give me your birth date.
Yeah.
And that's all it is, right?
Exactly. It doesn't make sense. It's not a very strong gate, but hopefully maybe the new ones are different. So
yeah.
They say that retailers are responsible for their online platforms following the AGLC provincial, municipal, and federal rules. The regulator says in a statement that this includes reasonable age verification methods to prevent minors from accessing online cannabis.
Yes. Some retailers have turned to third-party services to comply with the age gate verification, which goes a step beyond the requirements for provinces. Entering a birth date won't be enough to see online cannabis menus.
There's the answer to the question.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, one of the I do deal with, and it's a gray market actually, delivery system here. And they require when you you can see the menu before you have to do this. But once you want to make an order, you have to verify your age with a photo of yourself and a photo of your ID proving your age. And when they come to when they deliver it, you have to have your ID
ready at the door.
Yeah.
The whole bit. Yeah. That way they're handing it over to somebody that they can verify the age. When the person walks through the door, it's no different than walking out of a store. You don't know where it goes at that point.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Now you scroll down a little bit there, and you'll see that High Tide is also doing it, as well as Peak Cannabis. They say it has launched its delivery program to select locations in Alberta, guaranteeing delivery within 2 hours of placing an order.
Wow. In allowing private sector-led cannabis e-commerce and home delivery, Alberta has shown its commitment to helping regulated cannabis retailers effectively compete against and drive out illicit market operators. And this is coming from Raj Grover, who's the CEO. It's pretty exciting. As the largest cannabis retailer in Alberta, he says the launch of delivery and e-commerce services will help to solidify our leadership position and gain further market share in the province.
That's right. Yeah, third-party delivery services aren't allowed at the moment, but the provincial regulator didn't rule out the possibility. According to the AGLC CEO Candice McAdoo. However, they say, that does require some legislative changes. So certainly it's something we're exploring in the future.
Yes. Yeah. Which would be great. If you could run your corporation and give somebody else a chance to have a great company that would come pick up, it would be like almost You know how the banks have the money delivery, and it's the same company, Brinks, here in Nova Scotia, that run around delivering it all. Like, they have their secured people. I mean, they could have the same for cannabis or alcohol, even, really.
Yeah.
She says the new approach for cannabis delivery and online sales gives Albertans more choice and provides retailers with new opportunities for revenue. The government's online store had only accounted for a small amount of income, and the regulator tells Mugglehead that it estimates the AGLC's next operating income will drop by about $800,000 a year due to withdrawing from online sales. But I think they're making the right decision.
Yeah, I think they made the right decision as well. Now, they say here that British Columbia launched cannabis delivery last summer, and Ontario recently decided to keep the service permanently. Meanwhile, the Yukon has passed amendments to its cannabis legislation. A spokesperson recently told Mugglehead that the regulations are under development and will be finalized as soon as practical.
Yes. Yeah. So this is really exciting. Because we see this for, like I said, for alcohol. You can call your local taxi company and they'll deliver it for you. They still want to see your ID when you show up at the door, but
right.
You can do that for alcohol. So why can't the cannabis shops do that as well, right? And a lot of restaurants can deliver a bottle of wine with your meal that you've just ordered.
Yeah.
So again,
we can here in Ontario now. We can turn around and we can order a alcoholic beverage with your meal that you order from the restaurant. That
Yeah, I think that's really exciting, and I hope that it continues and grows into what a lot of disabled patients would really benefit from. To be honest,
correct.
Yeah,
exactly.
Heading over to Ganjapanora, we're staying in Alberta, and we're staying on delivery, kind of, sorta. Alberta, Canada, to allow cannabis delivery and consumption at concerts.
Oh, the concert part sounds really good. I like that. New provincial laws in Alberta, Canada allow for delivery and consumption of edibles and other non-smokable cannabis products at concerts and music festivals.
That's exciting. Exciting. Music festival attendees in Alberta, Canada will be able to get non-smokable cannabis products delivered under new provincial laws that took effect on Tuesday, the Calgary Herald reports. Under the model, festivals and live events will offer attendees a designated consumption area where products will be delivered and consumed with food or beverages as long as the service isn't being sold or combined with alcohol.
There you go, eh? Nice. That'd be like almost like a lounge setting they could set up.
Yep.
The program is subject to municipal approval. The change was made possible when the province moved to allow private cannabis retailers to sell online and make deliveries.
Yes. Nathan Misson, president of Diplomat Consulting and a former cannabis retailer, said he hoped that smokable products would eventually be allowed under the model, but called the reforms a big deal and applauded Alberta officials for being very willing to have unique and beneficial conversations on the plan. I happen to agree with him. I mean, I get we have a long way in the fight to go still, but I mean, every step forward, we need to celebrate that because that keeps people excited about the next step.
Because one like this in Alberta can grow. This seed's planted, and people see that the sky didn't fall in Alberta when they did this. Then other provinces and jurisdictions will do the same thing.
Yes, and it will lead to smokables in areas, and we'll have like the lounges. They may keep us all segregated while we're smoking, but if we can be able to have a joint while we're at a concert as well, or at a festival, and not upset the apple cart. I mean, again, this is leading to that step as well. So I'm really excited. It's a small win, but woo!
Yeah, instead of a beer tent, you're going to have a cannabis consumption tent.
Yep. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yep.
Yeah, I'm all for that. According to Myson, continues here with some quotes here. He says that we do believe we can get it there, that we can push for that. We know in the long term, there will be combustible gardens. We do know allowing smoking at festivals would be another reason for government consternation. Consternation?
Consternation, yeah.
Consternation, yeah. So, even they're talking about smoking now.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's really exciting. For the first time in 2019, the Calgary Folk Music Festival worked with Alberta Gaming, Liquor and Cannabis and city bylaw officials to offer a designated cannabis smoking space in the rear of the venue. And festival officials indicated they would gauge the success of the pilot before deciding whether to repeat it. The
Wow.
festival had been canceled over the last 2 years due to the pandemic. But hey, they get to do it. Like they hey, we're going to be the pilot. That's phenomenal. Oh,
That's phenomenal.
it's
Exactly.
exciting, right? The next step.
Yeah, which means Kate was, they maybe not commenting what's going to go forward, but they did it that 1 year. They could see how it turned out, and if they want to give it another go, there's no reason why they can't.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The Calgary Folk Music Festival executive director Sarah Leishman, who also oversees the Winter Block Heather Festival, says that the organizers are not at that stage in their planning cycle and did not want to comment on the reforms. But yeah, they, they have permission to do it when they're able to do it. So, I mean, hopefully this year will be the year and the pilot project will go phenomenal. And it'll open up that talk to make regulations so people can it'd be the same as applying for your liquor license while you're going to apply for your cannabis, combustible license or whatever they want to call it, right?
Why not at weddings? Why not at weddings as well?
Yeah. And I mean, as cannabis weddings are becoming more and more and more popular. So here, like at a private event, we can do it but like, I mean, to be able to, you rent
a hall,
and be able to legally
rent a
smoke.
hall, you go to the LCBO, you get a temporary license so you can sell alcohol at the bar, right?
And cannabis.
So why not just cannabis? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's phenomenal. Great steps forward, and we can see the future. Heading to the next story, we're heading over to StratCan, BC, to begin stakeholder engagement on cannabis consumption spaces.
Oh, another province. Here we go. The BC government expects to begin stakeholder engagement this spring for potential consumption activities and locations, including special events, lounges, and retail experiences. Wow.
Phenomenal. A representative for the province's Ministry of Public Safety and Solicitor General says the feedback from the engagement will inform any possible future decisions about whether cannabis consumption spaces should be permitted, and if so, how.
Yeah, well, come on. Few details are yet available on what those consumption spaces could look like, but the BC government has in the past suggested that one possible approach that they are considering is a special occasion licensing to tie into future Farmgate on-site sales for purchasers. The Farmgate program is expected to be launched this fall.
Farmgate. Sorry, I swore. I apologize. Farmgate. I'm so excited for Farmgate. The Liquor and Cannabis Regulation Branch, LCRB, engaged the cannabis industry in BC last year to gauge interest and gather ideas from federal license holders on the proposed model. Although expectations from some of the industry are high, others say they hope the province takes into account some of the unique facets of BC's diverse cannabis culture.
Yep, the LCRB is continuing to look over the feedback on potential approaches to the programs implemented in the fall of 2022. And although specifics on the plan are still not available, the BC government has provided the industry with some details on the Farmgate plan. For example, the province also has said they may not allow standalone processors of any size to take part in the program, although they would allow license holders who possess both a cultivation and processing license together to take part.
Yes. The government has also suggested that growers may only be allowed to sell cannabis that they grew, rather than selling similar products from other growers. While Farmgate could work well for some producers, others say they don't think it makes sense for them, especially with the proposals the provincial government has been hinting at. Building and staffing a new retail store will be costly for many of BC's more remote cannabis farms. The likely small amount of traffic won't necessarily make the model viable.
I'd say it's a case-by-case basis, depending on the business and where they're located. And if they're big enough, they offer tours of the facility. Maybe people would come, buy some cannabis and then go for a tour. Who knows?
Absolutely, yeah.
Now, as far as direct delivery, the Ministry of Public Safety and Solicitor General also notes that the BC Liquor Distribution Branch is continuing to work on establishing the necessary infrastructure that will allow direct delivery for nurseries and small-scale cultivars, and is on track for implementation in the fall of 2022.
The direct delivery model, as proposed so far, would allow nurseries and small-scale cultivars that produce no more than 3,000 kilograms of cannabis annually to have their finished products delivered directly to retailers, bypassing the provincial distributor, the BC LDB.
I was thinking I could order some clones and they would deliver them to my house. Oh, I went to the stores. Processors still have to first enter into a supply agreement with the BC LBD and will need to register and price their products before they become available for retailers to place orders. Although the products will not be physically delivered or distributed by the LBD, the province will still collect their 15% markup on all products. Hey, that sounds like what they're doing here in Ontario as well.
Yeah. That's pretty gross.
Yeah.
The LDB is expected to provide an update on the work to date to industry stakeholders and Indigenous organizations in the coming weeks. The province first announced their intentions for future direct delivery and farm gate sales in 2020, with the intention of implementing both by 2022. Ontario and New Brunswick both began issuing their own cannabis farm gate licenses last year, with 3 in Ontario and 2 in New Brunswick at the moment. And a third is expected to open in New Brunswick by the end of March. I'm really kind of excited for this because I want to find out where the farm gate stores are. I'm going to be traveling to the other side of New Brunswick, just into Quebec in June. And, I would like to do some farm gate hopping. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Now, with all the excitement of Farmgate, it says here that some cannabis producers in Ontario who were initially excited by Farmgate say they were pulling back last year, preferring to build relationships with local retailers rather than running their own retail store.
Which I can understand. Especially like that we were talking here a minute ago about these smaller farms.
Yeah.
It might be more viable for them to do it through the retail stores rather than to have their own retail store.
And that's basically what the next paragraph is telling us.
Yeah. The process can mean building a new retail store or and integrating one into an existing facility, which can be, cost prohibitive for some small growers. And those are remote areas with little, customer traffic. In the past, BC has suggested that their own farm gate model will be built more around the idea of special events and on-site consumption rather than an active retail space. So
there you go. Yeah. If it's not viable for them, then that's the option, is to build a relationship with the retailers in the area.
Yeah.
And get them to be able to purchase, because then the retailer would have to purchase the cannabis from their provincial distributor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So again, small steps. They will eventually get somewhere where they can all work together and get some of the local product to local people, which will be phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Heading over to CTV News Junkie, cannabis gifting ban gets harsh feedback in public hearing.
Yeah, I think this is along a story of better get the wording right or you're going to run into problems. Cannabis advocates pushed back Tuesday in an attempt by the state legislature to prohibit gifting of the plant in an effort to prevent sellers from circumventing Connecticut's budding recreational retail industry.
The legislature's General Law Committee heard public testimony on a bill based on recommendations from the Social Equity Council created by last year's cannabis legalization bill. The most controversial element of the bill would prevent residents from gifting the plant or face up to a year in prison and a $10,000 fine.
Can you imagine? Would passing a joint be considered gifting? You could gift a joint.
Yeah.
$10,000 fine, you're in jail. The provision prompted a small protest outside the state capitol Tuesday morning, and several people spoke in opposition during the hearing.
I bet, yeah. The committee's co-chairman, Representative Michael D'Agostino D. Hammond, sought to stem criticism at the outset of the hearing by explaining that the bill's intent was not to prevent residents from giving cannabis to their friends or family. Instead, the provision was aimed at what he called retail gifting events. As an example, described a Tupperware party where cannabis was used as currency.
Well, see, that's where the wording. If they meant retail gifting events, why don't they put that wording in there? When they say gifting, you give somebody, a quarter bag, 7 grams, and you're risking jail. It just didn't make sense.
No, and I mean, like, what they're really trying to do is stop bartering, not necessarily gifting. Like, hey, let's
Yeah.
trade. Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe as an enticement.
Maybe. Yes.
To come here, because sales. D'Angicasto, nice to get that name out. Instead of cash, bring cannabis, and that's the transaction. That would prevented versus your friends are coming over for a book club and you bake cannabis brownies. Have at it. The former would be prevented, the latter would not. Yet, buddy, it comes down to wording.
Yes, absolutely. However, several members of the public offered testimony opposing the provision, calling any step that potentially puts someone behind bars for actions related to cannabis a step in the wrong direction.
Yeah, like, when it comes to gifting, you got to think, you go in a liquor store, do they not still have those little Mickey bottles or little small bottles on bigger bottles to entice you to buy that one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, or mugs or something, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Duncan Markovich, he says the citizens of the state of Connecticut and those of us specifically within the cannabis community, culture, advocacy, and industry cannot fathom such Dractarian language around this plant.
Yeah. Another resident, Douglas Moore, told the committee he was born without arms and legs, lived on a fixed income, and relied on gifts of friends to obtain cannabis, which he used as medication. For me to be actually a normal person like all y'all, I need this gift, Moore said. So my question is, are you going to arrest me?
Good question. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. They tried to reassure Moore the bill would not result in his arrest. They say that the law as drafted does not ban that type of gifting, or would arrest you in any way. It's meant to target really what are essentially commercial transactions.
Yeah, well, they have to word it like that because you get an overzealous, police officer and they're going to take it literally and arrest the guy, right?
Correct.
Others objected to banning those transactions. Michael DeLauro, a retired state worker who has lupus and a form of epilepsy, said cannabis helped treat his conditions better than traditional medicine and really modern medicine. DeLauro suggested they attend one of the gifting events the bill sought to prohibit to get a better understanding of the community.
Yeah, experience it. Exactly. I know back in 2012, when we were doing a Vapor Lounge tour, we had a council representative from the city of Toronto join us for like 3 of the lounges so she could actually experience it, because at that point, the city of Toronto was was reviewing all the lounges in Toronto. Yeah. So experience it. It's good. DeLauro goes on to say, if you stop these types of events happening, you're also going to stop the type of generosity and the type of community spirit that happens at these type of events. It's not simply eliminating a commercial transaction. I thought about it, and I'm not really sure what the law does other than to protect the commercial interests.
He said they were not only lawmaker. They were not the only lawmaker to be invited to the cannabis gifting event on Tuesday, or he wasn't. During the hearing, Senator John Kissel of Enfield, an Enfield Republican generally opposed to cannabis legalization, asked a speaker, Susan Wayne, how he would locate a gifting event on the internet.
Yeah, Wynn says, you should go to one, sir, because it's a wonderful community. It is Black, white, Latino, everybody's getting along, sharing recipes, arts and crafts, glass blowing. It is a community of love, and they made me want to live again.
That's really actually very, very beautiful.
It is.
Kissel said he was not sold on the legalization of cannabis, but had heard the testimony of many who agreed. But if I do want to go and check this out, Kissel said, how do you find where these things are? What would I Google? Marijuana Gifting Fair, Connecticut?
Affinity Health and Wellness is on 1350.
My Google went off in the background. I apologize.
There you go. That's what that was it? I think that's it. Yeah. So it's good. She, she sent the guy some details, so hopefully you went.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be phenomenal?
Yes.
And I had to scroll all the way down through all that white to find out that is the end of it.
Snow screen. Yeah, exactly.
That story had us a little bit confused at first. But with that, I mean, guess what? We're at break. It's medication time. It's time to go do a dab, Al.
That's time. I got it right here. Ready to go.
We're ready to go. And we're going to hear from our sponsors while Al and I go have a dab and have a little bit of a break. And we are the Reefer Reporters, and we are live here at paceradio.net.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Hi folks, Scott from stfattiesday.com here, and we're absolutely stoked to tell you about our brand new program called Pass the Peace Pipe and our partnership with Legacy 420 out of Tyndonega. We are absolutely proud to be partners with these people. They are an amazing group that have helped so many people with their amazing cannabis medicinal products. And we are working together to gather funds to build the first ever Indigenous specific opioid addiction center here in the Bay of Quinte area on Tyndonega land. So we need your help. We need you to repost this video and go to our GoFundMe campaign, because on this October 17th, St. Fatty's Day, we are going to be starting the campaign where we pass the peace pipe from one side of the country to another to unite our country, to gather awareness, but most importantly funds to build opioid addiction centers across the nation, one build at a time.
In February of 2022, the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club and Ted Smith were fined $6.5 million. This for helping 8,500 patients with access to medical cannabis. In our interview with Ted, he spoke to us about how people can donate to help in an upcoming court challenge. And here is part of that interview. From what I've seen lately, I believe that you've got something that you're trying to do as far as fundraising to deal with this next court challenge.
For now, people can write checks directly to Jack Lloyd Law Corporation or send e-transfers to save the VCBC at gmail.com. I guess those are the two easiest ways for people to help right now.
Growing your own cannabis is easier than you think. Whether you're growing for recreational or medical purposes, BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. From the standard 4-plant recreational systems to the latest cutting-edge hydroponic equipment, BMA can customize your package and do it at discount prices. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville and ask us for a free estimate. Or call 613-967-9888 and we will give you an estimate over the phone.
The only way to go.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.
Hey, and we are back from our medication session and you know the sponsors. And we are the Reefer Reporters. If you're not sure, I have to look at my paper. We are not sure. We are definitely live.
Most definitely.
You can't believe it. Like, I mean, I'm proving it right now. If you miss our live shows, though, we're available afterwards on all kinds of platforms. I mean, we've got Spreaker, we've got I'm not going to say the word because my thingy will go off. Spotify, Castbox, Apple Podcasts.
It'll start talking to you, won't it?
It'll start talking to me again. It'll be terrible. And yeah, so we're back. We are live, and I think that I just proved it in everything I just did there a second ago.
Yeah. If it wasn't live, we'd be editing it out, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, bloopers are always good.
Yeah, they are. And anyway, we're gonna head over to Marijuana Moment. Veterans groups. I always love talking about veterans. Veterans groups call on Congress to allow medical cannabis access through the VA.
Yes, they should have access to it. There's no doubt about that.
100%.
House and Senate committees held joint hearings last week to hear from Veterans Service Organizations, VSOs, about how Congress and the federal government can better serve their constituents, and several of the groups brought up the need to ease restrictions on cannabis.
Yes. Written testimony submitted ahead of the meetings on Tuesday and Wednesday echoes that the VSOs have repeatedly raised with lawmakers. The specifics range in scope between the various groups, but the overall message was made clear. Military veterans uniquely stand to benefit from cannabis treatment, and it's time for Congress to do something about it.
Exactly. It is time. Among other asks from the organizations are for the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs to expand research into the therapeutic potential of cannabis, for Congress to lift study barriers for Schedule I drugs that show medical cannabis, and to end prohibition so that veterans can access cannabis recommendations through their VA doctors.
Yes. Support for the use of medical cannabis to treat the wounds of war has been growing among the veteran population for years. And Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America members have repeatedly voiced their support. This is Jeremy Butler, who is the IAVA CEO. And he continues to say, veterans consistently and passionately have communicated that cannabis offers effective help in tackling some of the most pressing injuries we face when returning from war.
Yeah, they really need to change that. They really need to allow them to get access to that. They say here that over the years, according to Butler, they say here that over the past few years, IAVA members have set out to change the national conversation about cannabis and underscore the need for bipartisan, evidence-based, common sense solutions that can bring relief to millions, save taxpayers billions, and create thousands of jobs for veterans nationwide. They say that in 2022, IAVA will continue our fight on behalf of veterans who want to use medical cannabis, and we remain committed to the goal of VA conducting research into the efficacy of medical cannabis as a treatment for veterans with chronic pain, PTSD, and other conditions.
Yes. Yeah. And it's something that I really like about, the VA here in Canada. Like there's still a lot of fight to go, but they like if you get prescribed cannabis, they automatically cover and will pay for 3 grams a day. And then with the proper recommendation letters, they will up that to 10 grams a day. And they don't fight it. They love it. They actually, want the doctors to prescribe cannabis because they see that it helps.
There was a report out recently. There's a little more than 17,000, between 17 and 18,000 vets in Canada that use cannabis medicinally.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's fantastic. I have personally watched the change in a lot of my veteran friends over the years as they have, come to use cannabis.
Yeah.
And I think it's phenomenal. And I would really, as a veteran myself, it would, greatly excite me to see United States get on board with that.
Yeah, I agree. Same here.
Yeah. Yeah. While researchers have found ample evidence to support the idea that cannabis can effectively treat a wide range of conditions that commonly afflict the veteran community, federal, bureaucratic hurdles continue to halt the system and stymie good research, he said. We will never get a definitive answer on the efficacy of cannabis as a treatment option while federal regulations that actively undermine solid research studies remain in place. The system is antiquated and must be adjusted to match state laws and research needs. For these reasons, in the 117th Congress, IAVA will continue our work to remove these barriers to research and usage to those veterans where it is already legal by advocating to remove cannabis as a Schedule I drug.
Yeah, come on. It's ridiculous that it's just still in the Schedule I classification. President's got to do something. We thought the last 3 presidents were going to do something. Look at nothing's happened. So,
yeah.
AMVET's National Commander Greg Hein made similar points in the group's testimony. He emphasized, for example, that there's research that suggests where medical and adult use cannabis is accessible, there is a reduction in opiate prescribing, opiate use, and opiate-related overdose. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just so you know, our town, we have a Legion, right? Like a lot of small towns. They have a sign on the side of the Legion at the doors. No cannabis allowed on the property. Yeah.
From the Legion.
From the Legion. Yeah. It's on the front door and it's at every entrance.
One thing that every year I go, we've missed it for a couple of years, of course, but it's coming back in September. So the regiment that I was a part of in my younger days, we have a reunion every year. We have an association, we stay in touch, and we have a reunion every year. And one of the things that when we were booking our reunion, as of course medical cannabis became more to the forefront, this is a number of years ago before legalization, is when we were booking the Legion, it's like, listen, you're going to allow cannabis in the smoking section, right?
Yeah.
We're not asking you to allow it inside, but we're asking you to not stymie people rolling it and going out there. And they're like, yeah, no, perfectly fine.
Well, when we went to the Supreme Court of Canada in the Owen Smith case, they held an event at the Legion and we were allowed to use vaporizers.
That's phenomenal. Yeah. So they had no issue. And of course, me being me, this was 70 years ago. And it's like, oh really? Well, let's just see if they really mean that. And I brought out the old kit and I sat at a table and I rolled a joint and nobody even blinked an eye. I got a lot of the older veterans coming over and asking questions and whatnot. And I think I got some new patients out of it. But it didn't seem to faze them at all. And so that really shocks me that a Legion that's supposed to be there to support the vets is against something that's helping so many.
It doesn't make sense. Like,
no,
they're serving alcohol and people are smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
And they don't allow cannabis on the property. So that means those veterans would have to step off the property, or do they take it as they're not welcome?
I would feel not welcome.
Yeah.
It would just say, okay, well then I don't want to be part of that Legion. Like even my local Legion down the road here, I can go, and again, I can sit at a table and roll a joint and go outside and smoke it as long as I'm in the little smoking section. And cannabis users are fine. You want to stick us in the smoking? Hey, look, as long as we can go smoke a joint, whatever, right?
Now I checked out. I went looking at the Royal Canadian Legion, and the information I did find was that each place establishes its own rules on that. So
which I think is foolish. You're there to support veterans. Veterans decide to use this medicine. You should be allowing them to use this medicine.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. Absolutely. On to the next story. We're coming from my favorite publication. I love this publication. I don't know why, but I do. The Fresh Toast. I love saying the Fresh Toast. I just love it. I don't know why. Anyway, they are saying the majority of Americans support cannabis businesses engaging with traditional banking. Of course.
Yep. According to a poll released Tuesday by the American Bankers Association, 65% of respondents said they favor allowing cannabis businesses to access traditional banking services like a checking account or business loan in states where cannabis is now legal. Only 15% of respondents were against the policy, reported the Marijuana Moment.
Wow. In addition, the survey conducted by Morning Consult asked about whether Congress should approve legalization that would accomplish that reform.
It only makes sense to me.
Yeah. 68% of the respondents agreed that new legislation should be approved to guarantee the access of cannabis firms to traditional banking.
Yeah, CEO Rob Nichols said in a press release, consumers clearly agree that now is the time to resolve the ongoing conflict between state and federal law so banks can serve legal cannabis and cannabis-related businesses. Doing so will help banks meet the needs of their communities while enhancing public safety, increasing the efficacy of tax collections, and improving the financial transparency of the cannabis industry.
Yes. The survey involved interviews with 2,210 adults from in a couple of days in February 18th to 19th, with a plus minus 2% margin for error. So yeah, I mean, like that's actually, 2% error. That's actually not too bad.
No,
and
exactly.
that's a fairly large, I assume it would be a phone poll. So over 2,000 people agreed to stay on the phone and do this survey.
Correct.
And I think that's phenomenal. 68% of them.
Yeah, exactly.
We're in favor.
Like it's the federal law. Like change the federal law because you're putting all these businesses in jeopardy. You're not having a concern when it comes to robberies, all that type of stuff, because their safety is being threatened because they have to hold all this money.
Yeah, and the American government with this whole banking thing isn't just holding up their own. It affects other countries because they're such a large financial powerhouse. I mean, Canadian banks. I mean, most Canadian banks won't even touch head shops right now. Like, I mean, people that are selling bongs and pipes and papers, not selling cannabis, just paraphernalia.
Correct.
They won't even service them. I mean, like the head shop that I work for got kicked out of their bank a couple of years ago because the bank finally clued in that they were selling cannabis paraphernalia. And it blows my mind.
Like I know that some of them, they use a number. They have a number company, and that's what they do. And then they come out of that with the cannabis end of things in order to avoid that, because it's ridiculous. It needs to be changed. Like cannabis, especially here in Canada, it's legal. In the U.S., with all those states that have it legal, and for whether it's legal for recreational or medical, it's still legal. It's still money transactions. There's still that money sitting around, and a law like that. It's obvious.
Yeah.
Poll after poll, the what's going on in each individual state. Just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Get it done and over with, and let people make, and they're hindering the money too. I mean, people need to make. We're going to use this medicine no matter what, so people need to let us live with finances too.
Right.
We could go on and on forever and ever. Heading over to Ganja Pinor, federal agency rejects CBD company's trademark.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really? Wow. The U.S. Trademark Trial and Appeal Board last week declined to register Agrotech Hemp Corp's pure XXX CBD as a trademark for dietary supplements, including or containing CBD, because the product is unlawful under federal law. According to a blog post from Harris Brinkton's Jahi Hain, the company has sought the registration for goods identified as plant extracts for pharmaceutical purposes, vitamins, dietary supplements, all of the foregoing containing CBDs solely derived from hemp containing no more than 0.3% THC on a dry weight basis.
Good Lord. The TTAB found that Agrotech Hemp did not have a bona fide intent to lawfully use the proposed mark in commerce because CBD is federally outlawed, and that the products met the definition of a drug, and that drug has not been approved by the Food and Drug Administration. Oh my God.
Wow. Like just I thought maybe it was the XXX in their pure XXX CBD trademark. I thought maybe it would have been the triple X that was the problem. I guess not, eh?
No,
that's fine. The TTAD has previously declined the trademark CBD related products and relied on previous opinion in which it denied a trademark to PharmaCann. Like it's
for applications based on Section 1B of the Trademark Act, such as the present application, if the record indicates that the identified good included items that are unlawful as of the application filing date, actual lawful use in the commerce is not possible. And any intent that the applicant has to use the mark on such goods is not the necessary bona fide intent to use the mark in lawful commerce. That's a big way of saying that the federal law is just holding back something else.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. The U.S. trade agencies have repeatedly denied trademark applications for cannabis companies and have adjudicated several cases of alleged copyright infringement, ranging from hot sauce brands to candy brands. Like, it's just, it's as if everything's coming at the government and saying, you got to legalize cannabis.
Yeah.
Whether it's the banks, it's the polls from the people, so on and so forth. It seems like the only ones that want to keep cannabis illegal is the federal government. Like, is it against the law for the president of the USA to legalize cannabis?
I don't know. It almost seems like it, hey?
It seems like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's crazy. Heading over to marijuana moment, we're going to hit our next story. New York to let people with cannabis convictions open dispensaries before big businesses can enter market. Okay, so finally, the people that have been doing it illegally and getting in trouble for the last 50 years, we're going to let them have legal jobs now. So that to me makes sense. They're doing it anyway. They know the product, they know the people. Let them do it and do it legally.
Exactly. New York regulators are set to approve a rule making it so people with prior cannabis convictions or whose family members have been harmed by criminalization will get the first round of adult use cannabis retail licenses ahead of existing medical cannabis businesses.
The proposal to create the conditional licenses will be taken up by the New York State Cannabis Control Board, the CCB, on Thursday. Today, it's a move that would set the state apart from others that have enacted legalization but face criticism over a lack of promised equity results. I think it's phenomenal.
That's right. The governor is expected to announce the plan on Thursday, as first reported by the New York Times. Office of Cannabis Management Executive Director Chris Alexander told the newspaper he expects upwards of 200 justice-involved applications to receive the priority licenses under the proposal, with retailers potentially coming online by the year's end.
Phenomenal. The quality, to qualify for the conditional license, an applicant would need to have been convicted of a cannabis-related offense prior to March 31st, 2021, when the state's adult use legalization law was enacted. Those who have had a parent, legal guardian, child, spouse, or dependent who face such convictions would also be eligible, as would those who were themselves dependent on someone with a conviction. That's great. I mean, yeah, again, these people have been doing it illegally, or affected by people that have been doing it illegally. So let's give them a chance to be, upright standing citizens who are paying taxes.
Exactly.
For what they've been doing
and
under
employing people.
Yeah,
exactly. There are some businesses related requirements in order for eligible applicants. For example, the measure states that they must hold or have held for a minimum of 2 years at least 10% interest or ownership interest in and control of a qualifying business, which means a business that had net profit for at least 2 of the years the business was in operations. Well, what if you couldn't afford to, I guess a little concerned about that minimum 2-year end things, but
nonprofit organizations could also be eligible to hold the licenses if they intentionally serve justice, involved individuals and communities with historically high rates of arrest, conviction, incarceration, or other indicators of law enforcement activity for cannabis related offenses. But I guess I can understand why they want to see that you're good at running a business before they let you run a business. But I mean, a lot of these ex-cons, especially for the people who have had the convictions and have been looked at like ex-cons for the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years, are they going to get the chance to do that? I mean, my fingers are crossed that there's going to be quite a few that have gotten to be able to work with and be able to qualify for this, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I'm thinking. Like, if they've been unfairly, jailed or whatever because of cannabis, what's the likelihood that they've been owning a business?
Yeah.
At some point, right? Because as we know, they hold that against people. So
yep.
That's that qualifying thing. But other than that, it's great to see that they're gonna have people who have been victimized or whatever an opportunity to do stores.
Yes. Yep.
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 Go ahead.
Existing medical cannabis operators called registered organizations under the state's cannabis code would generally not be able to obtain the proposed conditional licenses. This seems to be part of the state's overall goal of ensuring that the industry that emerges is equitable and not dominated by moneyed multi-state operators. Hallelujah.
Yep. Alexander goes on to say, I could press the green button right now and have 40 dispensaries online. Referencing the existing medical cannabis retailers operating the state. But instead, we've decided that the folks who have been most impacted actually have the space and the real runway to participate in a meaningful way.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, to further ensure that those most impacted by criminalization are able to compete as the market opens up and matures, the conditional licenses would need to be reserved to applicants with at least 51% ownership by justice-involved people, as outlined in the measure. Cassandra Frederick, executive director of the Drug Policy Alliance, told Marijuana Moment that the New York model represents much-needed innovation in drug policy reform.
There you go. She goes on to say, it is encouraging to see that the New York regulators are attempting something different. Oftentimes, advocates say that they are centering people who are most directly impacted, yet build plans and policies first and then try to incorporate people. Here you see New York regulators attempting trying to build implementation around people that should benefit the most. It is not guaranteed to work, but it is definitely progress.
Absolutely. As we've talked, I think they've got a few tweaks to make to help people make sure that they can get in. I mean, maybe instead of asking for 2 years experience, maybe saying, okay, partner with somebody who has all kinds of experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kind of change that just a little bit. Conditional adult use retail licenses would be valid for 4 years. Licensees would need to notify regulators of their intent to continue participating in the recreational market within 120 calendar days of the expiration of the conditional license. Regulators would conduct a review before approving them for the standard adult use retailer licenses that will eventually be made more widely available to any interested parties.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the state has taken separate steps to get the industry in a position to have products available by creating provisional cannabis cultivator and processor licenses for existing hemp businesses that take certain steps to promote quality in the emerging industry. The governor signed the legislation late last month, and applications for those businesses will open next week.
Mm-hmm. As it stands, adults 21 and older can possess and publicly consume cannabis, as well as gift cannabis to other adults as long as they aren't being compensated. But regulators are still finalizing licensing rules, and there are currently no retailers that are authorized to sell cannabis for adult use in the state.
Yeah, well, hopefully they get the wording right in the gifting.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The governor released a state of the state book in January that called for the creation of a $200 million public-private fund to specifically help promote social equality in the state's burgeoning cannabis market. The governor said that while cannabis business licenses have yet to be approved since legalization was signed into law last year, the market stands to generate billions of dollars, and it's important to create opportunities for all New Yorkers, particularly those with historically marginalized communities. You don't hear that here, right?
Yeah, the proposal was also cited in the governor's executive budget, which was released in January. The budget also estimated that New York stands to generate more than $1.25 billion in cannabis tax revenue over the next 6 years. I don't think it's going to take them that long. There's a lot of people in New York.
A lot of people. That's right.
Assembly Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes, who championed the state's adult use legalization bill that was enacted last year, told the Times that we're trying to do what no other state has done, and that's focus on their people. Adding that to this critical. This is critical because it's a huge industry. It is. That's going to grow our economy a lot. And I think it makes sense to let the growth begin with New Yorkers.
Yeah. Enacting legislation that expedites licensing could help the state reduce the number of businesses that are effectively using the legal gifting provision of the state's cannabis law to give away cannabis for free if a non-marijuana related purchase is made. That's almost like that last story. New York regulators recently issued warnings to more than 24 businesses that they allege are either illegally selling cannabis without a license or exploiting the gifting component. So that's that's where the businesses could say, hey, you come buy this, you get a free doobie.
Yeah. Last month, for example, a state senator filed a bill that would promote recycling in the cannabis industry once retail sales officially launch. Senator Michelle Hinchy is also sponsoring that legislation, which would require cannabis shops to apply a $1 deposit for any cannabis product sold in single-use plastic containers, and also reimburse consumers for that fee if they return the container. That's kind of what we have going here in Nova Scotia with, like, say, our soda containers or something. You pay a 10-cent fee and you get 5 cents back, and the other 5 cents goes towards recycling and paying the people that are doing the recycling of that product.
Yeah, well, here's help with an answer for some of that. A senator is also behind a separate bill filed last week that would prioritize hemp-based packaging over synthetic plastics.
Oh, that would be phenomenal.
It sure would be, wouldn't it, eh?
Makes sense for cannabis products.
Sure does. Sure does. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, the recycling bill is identified to an assembly version filed by Assemblywoman Patricia Fahey last year. And Senator Jeremy Cooney is sponsoring a recently introduced bill to allow licensed cannabis companies to deduct certain business expenses on their state tax returns. He's also behind the aforementioned measures to expand the cannabis law's equity definition and provide provisional licenses to get the market ready.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's lots more as you go along down there, but this one here I want to mention. The State Department of Labor announced in a recent guidance that New York employees are no longer allowed to drug test most workers for cannabis.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
You're so beautiful, I had to highlight it.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go.
Yeah. New York is taking strides further, and they're trying to look after the people that were harmed by prohibition in the first place.
Yes.
And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm seeing that quite a bit in the States as far as people that are, social equity, all that stuff. And it needs to be done more here.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
When it comes to the way things are done. No doubt about that.
Yep. And we're going to head over to CBS Boston. Marlboro boy, and we're talking about an area not combustible. Marlboro boy with severe autism sees life-changing improvements with cannabis treatment. I love headlines like that.
So do I, and I love stories like this. For families of severely autistic children, finding a treatment plan can be daunting and often a delicate process. But now, some are turning to a controversial alternative: cannabis.
Yes. Elizabeth Lane Morse of Marlboro says cannabis treatment for her autistic son, Mark, has been life-changing. 3 years ago, Mark's behaviors were taking over his life, she says.
He broke a window, she explained. He was breaking TVs left and right and putting his head through iPads. Then came the breaking point. Mark put his head through a fish tank. I'm talking half-inch thick tempered glass. The mother recalls a horrifying incident. There was just water pouring out of there, and there was fish just flowing and flopping all over the ground. It was a horrifying scene.
I can't even, I don't even want to try to imagine. That sounds, whew. Therapy, intervention, and medication were not working. That's when she turned to cannabis. The change was almost immediate. Within 10 days of starting cannabis therapy, Mark became verbal. Oh my God, I'm going to get emotional. Those first words helped overcome a fear of going to bed. He was able to tell me. He said, "It's too dark in here. I'm scared." And that just led to other breakthroughs.
Exactly. His mother goes on to say, to wait 6 years to hear your son say, "I love you, Mom." It was great. It was something I have always knew. I knew that he loved me, but to hear him say it was great. It was a great feeling.
Oh, could you imagine? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark's doctor, Benjamin Kaplan, is one of only a handful of doctors able to prescribe cannabis to children in Massachusetts. He said this really can open up new worlds. These children are in there, Kaplan said. It's not like they're not human. They just can't express themselves.
Yeah. Dr. Kaplan said that there has been stigma around cannabis as a medical treatment that goes back decades. He says it's been pulled from the education system, so doctors aren't taught about it. They don't know how to use it. Most prescriptions are a mix of cannabinoids, THC and CBD, and unlike other medicines, they are all natural.
Yeah. We can change their neurochemistry, said Kaplan, the chemistry in their brain, so they can feel and communicate a little bit more like people who aren't suffering from autism. But for real progress to be made, Kaplan believes the negativity that surrounds cannabis needs to end.
It sure does.
Yeah.
It says that, is your child on Zoloft? Is your child on Adadril? Are we not calling these drugs? I think the judgment is in the eye of the beholder.
Absolutely. As for Lisbeth, the results with Mark have given her family a bright future. We do what works for our family. Nobody really knows his story, and nobody knows the challenges and the battles that we've been through.
Yeah, exactly. When you read stories like this and how a child within 10 days has gone from not being nonverbal to verbal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Adadril, from my understanding, the side effects of it are very similar to cocaine.
Yeah, they're none of these are, I mean, the pharmaceuticals that they've brought forth for a lot of this stuff are just they're terrible. I mean, the Adderall, however you pronounce it, a lot of people get that and they'll crush it and snort it. Same as ADHD medicine. What was that one? Ritalin. That became very popular as almost like a prescribed cocaine as well. People would get their hands on them and crush them. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's no problem prescribing that, but cannabis.
But cannabis, something that won't do that. But I mean, 10 days, and this kid went from nonverbal his whole life to, "Mom, don't turn the lights off, and I love you."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I got a message here. I'm gonna send a message out to Dog a Doctor. We weren't ignoring your messages. We just didn't see them.
Yeah, sorry. I was on another page reading the story when a lot of this was going on, so I apologize.
They were wondering what they meant by they mean by communities, and that would be probably, I'm assuming at that time we're probably talking about the communities that have been targeted over the years and have been victims of the cannabis laws.
Yep. Yeah. So that's 10 stories, Al. We made it through the Thursday Reefer Reporters.
We sure did. We're going to do it all again. We're going to do it all again on Monday.
We are. The two of us are back Monday morning with the Monday Reefer Reporters. I'm going to be filling in for Reverend Kelly. So I'm looking forward to that. Exactly. With being on your side of the board. I mean, I get to sit there and go, just read the stories. Go back to my original job. Just read, Cindy. All you got to do is read.
Yeah, it's good. It's different on this side, I'll tell you.
I almost forget what it's like. But yeah, that's our Reefer report for today, March 10th. And it's 6 degrees outside here in Windsor, Nova Scotia. I can't wait to get outside and enjoy some sunshine. And together, Al and I would love to thank you for joining us here at the Reefer Reporters on the Legacy420.com news desk. And you know what? If you enjoyed this, go share it with everybody. Go tell everybody to have a listen. I think we had a good time today. And it's been a lot of fun, Al. I really enjoy working with you.
I enjoyed working with you too, Cindy.
Wicked.
Looking forward to Monday.
Yes. I will see you Monday. I will see everybody Monday. And have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. Visit our hydroponics superstore at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville, and we'll show you how to grow your own quality cannabis for pennies per gram. We're open Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Thursdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Call 613-967-9888. BMA Hydroponics. It's worth the drive. The only way to go.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more. We've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.